Dear viewers, welcome to the Roundup, usually weekly, covering indie games, reveals, releases, patches and everything in between. Let's dive in. Starting with reveals. There were a ton of game shows last week with a ton of reveals, but I'm really picking out interesting indie games or games that aren't already getting a ton of attention. For example, Song of Iron 2 got revealed. And spoiler warning here, but I have to spoil the ending of the first game, which I completed and reviewed in order to make sense of the sequel. In the first game, which is a solo dev project by the way, you are a Viking in a 2.5D side-scroller fighting other tribes and killing the criminals that burned your city and killed your wife. It's a decent enough game, it lasts you a few hours, but it's really nothing special, I thought. I loved the visuals and the atmosphere, but it had incredibly clunky combat. But then, for some reason, the game's story goes completely off the rails and the last act takes place in a spaceship while the rest of the game was set in, Viking time. It's completely ridiculous, honestly. It was pointed out by many people playing this, but for some reason the dev is sticking with the nonsensical theme. Viking meets space soldiers or something. The trailer of Song of Iron 2 shows yet again stormtroopers with laser guns, so I guess the feedback didn't land or he just doesn't care. Really strange. I'm honestly a little bit surprised there's going to be a sequel in the first place because it seems the game didn't do all that well, but all the kudos to the dev for pulling this off. I'm not particularly excited about this, as I'm sure you can tell, but hey, I am glad this solo dev adventure gets another chapter to the story and I will play it as well, hoping to see improvements on the criticisms I had earlier. There are more sequels because the beautiful game Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, title of the year by the way, gets a follow-up. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. Not as catchy as a title this time, but I'm sure the game itself is decent enough. People really loved the original, which is available on Game Pass, and it's no surprise that Turnip Boy is yet again up to no good. He is a criminal veggie after all. It's coming to PC and Game Pass in 2023. By far the weirdest and creepiest thing I've seen all week is this: The Dark World Karma. It is a psychological horror with people that have TV screens instead of a head on their body. It doesn't get much stranger than that, although I have played a cyberpunk shooter which was a student's project once called 2084, where the enemies also had a TV instead of a head, so there's that. Either way, this first-person game is not for the faint of heart. Release date is set in 2023. There's a new city builder in town, or well, it was revealed 2 years ago, but I recently got acquainted with it because of its publisher Hooded Horse, which I've been tracking since they published Old World. This game in question is Manor Lords, and during the upcoming Steam Next Fest, the demo will be playable from the 3rd to the 10th of October. I might take a look, but I'm on holiday those days. It reminds me of Kingdom Come Deliverance, but then the city builder, and I'm excited about this. Then, announcements, starting with The Wandering Village, who had a successful launch selling 50,000 copies in 2 days and sitting at an 89% Steam positive rating. Well deserved. A few days after the launch, the devs posted a roadmap and confirmed a bunch of features coming into early access. For example, 2 new biomes, water and ruins, a new locations and events, new buildings, tameable birds, flying merchants to trade with, an additional on-boost skin, controller support, Steam Deck support and an Xbox version. Next to all of this, several improvements are planned too, of course, on existing features like villager AI and things like that. They have a bright road ahead of them at least. Sunday Gold was supposed to release last week, but it has been delayed by 1 month. It now launches October 13th. That is a busy week there, with Lost Eidolons, The Last Ori Crew and Gadonia all releasing. Not necessarily competitors in the genre, but still all promising indie games, and they'll be vying for attention. At least my attention. Sunday Gold is a game I'm looking forward to quite a bit actually, a point-and-click detective adventure with hopefully great writing, very retro vibes, and it's just something that oozes with atmosphere. I'm fine waiting another month by the way, let's hope the devs use it well. My Time at Sandrock released an updated roadmap. Early October, expect a stability patch, which also adds stables next to stability. Early November, there will be a new pet system, preset models for houses so you don't have to design your own, a reply feature to email, more interactions, functional furniture and new fish, to name a few. And then early December, the year closes by a new main story, 3 dungeons, 1 mining dungeon, NPC romance stories, a facelift function and additional relics, once again to name a few. After it took the devs ages to get a permit from China to release this game, they have finally done it a few months ago and the patches are dropping in hot since then. It is great to see. This is still on my wishlist, I will play it someday. Batora Lost Haven, an interplanetary ARPG, has a release date. October 20th is the day. I'll just tell you what the devs have to say about this one. In Batora Lost Haven, explore a range of unique alien planets and discover a galaxy in which morals are blurred and the line between right and wrong is mercilessly thin. Harness Avril's unique ability to perfect different combat styles and defeat deadly foes, solve intricate puzzles and take on quests from curious alien inhabitants. Every choice you make will shape your journey and forge the way you carry out your final mission, restoring your lost haven. I've been following the development of this game for a long time and I'm really curious about the final result. So once again, October 20th. Thrive Heavy Lies the Crown is a city builder and it dropped a new trailer. You're watching that. It seems like an interesting one because you aren't just building a city but you have to make moral choices at the same time, a bit like in Frostpunk. The main evil that you're facing is the mysterious Whalegrim. There's a heavy focus on survival in this medieval era. The game features an in-depth tech tree, the morality system I just talked about, trading with other lands, 4-player co-op and modding support. I've been really getting into city builders lately and I'm intrigued by this one. It releases in early access around March 2023. There's a new trailer for The Awakener Risen, an Unreal Engine game developed in China that was previously called Arise of Awakener instead of The Awakener Risen. Anyway, I like what I see here in what looks like a mix of more Eastern style combat, very flashy, tons of combos, all that stuff, combined with world building that looks an awful lot like Skyrim, all the way from the environments to the inns. This could definitely work. There are multiple classes to play, it has terrible voice acting, in the trailer at least, and yeah, all in all not too bad I guess. Then a genre that's seen a resurgence lately, the retro Doom clone genre, this time with Impaler. The twist here is that you can impale enemies, but otherwise it's just Doom on steroids it seems. Nothing wrong with that, plenty of people like that stuff, I do too. Just not overly original, but hey, we can't be all like Hideo's son over here, so deal with it. The promo trailer states it's optimized for Steam Deck and this seems like an amazing game for that. So yeah, I'm interested and will keep track of this one. They announced the release date too, December 6th. And guys, if any of these games look interesting, be sure to wishlist them, it helps the devs out a lot. Similarly, you can subscribe to my channel, which helps me out a lot. We reached 300 subscribers last week. I'm really grateful for all the support so far and just happy you're all enjoying the content on this second channel, which is really there just for fun, honestly. And yeah, it's great that everybody's here and watching these videos. Proceeding with the patch Plaza, bringing an overview of patch news. Striving for Light, the indie ARPG, has improved controller support and is heading for Steam Deck verification. And you may be able to guess it by now, but in the personal updates section I'll tell you why that is good news, at least for me. There's more though, because Season 4 launched. The main change here is an overhaul of the regeneration system. This game has endurance, energy and dodge regeneration for attacks, spells and dodging respectively. You can add more regeneration in the skill tree, which is vital to do, and previously everything stacked multiplicatively, ultimately resulting in near infinite regeneration. I never reached that point personally, but you know, I get the issue there. Scaling is now additive instead. To compensate, all regeneration node values have been doubled, which makes your start of the playthrough a lot easier. That is a good thing, I feel at least, because the start was really rough usually. I've been playing quite a bit of this game lately and the new systems definitely feel a lot more forgiving and fun than the previous seasons, so I'm happy with the changes. One of my favorite early access city builders, Timberborn, released their second major update. The devs have been testing these features on the beta branch for months and it's finally time to put all of this on the main branch, meaning anyone can play it. If you own the game, that is, like me. Here's what you can expect. First of all, golems, which are automatons that look like beavers, but they come with certain advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is they don't get tired. The disadvantage is they tend to break down, leak acid, and can be a liability if not maintained properly. There's a whole economy around these golems as well, meaning buildings to produce them, as well as facilities to deconstruct them so they're not so dangerous anymore. It sounds like a great feature, honestly. Another massive improvement is terraforming. Previously, you were rather limited in this regard. Sure, you could build dams and all, trying to control the water flow, and dynamite allowed you to create holes in the floor, making it lose height, but proper terraforming didn't exist until now. You can raise the floor, excavate, and this way have a lot of control over the land as well as the water, which should make your life a lot easier if you have all the required resources. Then negative effects are introduced, so your beavers can now get injured, tired, get food deprivation, that sort of stuff, adding some realism, I guess. There are showers and other facilities to fix your beavers back up. There is a new sort of power in town, batteries, which I think store power independent of other sources like wind or flowing water, and their capacity depends on how high you have placed the structure. Migrating beavers between districts becomes a lot easier with the new migration panel, and there's more according to the trailer. Decent time to either purchase or dive back in. It's a great game, it already was a great game, and this new update warrants a few more playthroughs for sure. Camp Canyonwood, another building game, released their first early access major patch. It brings expandable campaign grounds, meaning you can now find bridges and ramps leading to 3 new locations. Campers will have the option to make requests, and if you fulfill those requests, you're increasing your camp rating. Furthermore, storage containers got added as well as mushrooms. Some of them are poisonous, by the way. Tavern Master released a new patch as well, bringing a weather system and takeout food to this tavern sim game. I already covered this one previously, so I'm not gonna get too deep into this, but it is now available. It's called patch 1.4. Ghostlore, the pixel art ARPG inspired by Singapore, is still in early access, but they reached a milestone. The full campaign story is now finished, meaning you can play the game from start to end, which is a great accomplishment, of course. There's more coming up though. The devs will be doing a major revamp to the game's skill system to allow for customization and character builds, plus a plethora of post-game and side content is planned. Vampire Survivors is well on its way to full release, but there is a minor patch that dropped regardless. This one brings 1 new achievement to reach level 99 with Poe. It has the last Arcana, number 21, Blood Astronomia. There's 1 new weapon, which is more like a minor gameplay feature, and finally 1 new secret. Also, next week the price will go up, so if you want to buy this truly marvelous game for the ridiculous price of €2.50, you gotta be quick. Then releases. Looking back at what released last week. Nobody Saves the World, Frozen Hearth, the first DLC, is available now for €5. It offers a new area, new challenges, new forms, co-op and mini-golf. Steam reviews, just 14 of them, are sitting at a 78% positive, and the main complaint is that the DLC content doesn't match the base game very well, as apparently you can't level up in the new forms in the DLC, meaning you have to play the base game to level them up. And nothing new got added in that, so it doesn't really work too well. You Suck at Parking launched, and it is 20% off so far, so it's €16 instead of 20. Steam reviews are 70% positive, and the main reason for that is that the game doesn't just have a standard box price of $20, but also a battle pass for $10 and additional microtransactions of $40, and customizing your vehicle isn't really possible until you buy the MTX. That's pretty dumb. And a huge red flag. Most people do agree that the core game is fun and challenging, so there is that. I played the game for an hour or so on Game Pass, and I can confirm the stories after looking at the monetization. It just seems excessive and unnecessary in an otherwise pretty cool game. Either go free to play or ask a box price, but doing both in an indie game like this, it's a lot, honestly. The Wandering Village launched. I did a full early access review, so check that out if you haven't already. I really liked the game, and fortunately Steam agrees, but I covered this already in this episode, so on to the next one. Another hellish success is Metal Hellsinger, a first-person shooter on the beat with famous metal singers providing the soundtrack, which gradually becomes more intense the more shots you hit on the beat. Amazing concept, amazing game. Steam rates it a 98% positive out of over 1,000 reviews. This game is truly popping off. I played it too for a few hours because, once again, this is on Game Pass, and it is a lot of fun, honestly. The music in combination with the combat is truly unique, and this isn't anything like BPM because you're not forced to shoot on the beat. You can miss it too, but then the music dies down, as does your damage, so you're double incentivized to keep the metal multipliers flowing, and it's quite an experience so far. Let's look ahead at what's releasing this week. There Is No Light releases September 19th. Battle your way through the grim underground world in this brutal action-adventure RPG. Exterminate hordes of enemies, fight dangerous bosses and explore the world the way you want. It features an atmospheric pixel art world, a unique combat system with 4 weapons you can swap, a deep and touching 30-hour-long storyline about a family, war and redemption, 70+ types of enemies and bosses, 1,000+ dialogues and karma system, and finally a massive skill tree for every weapon. Soulstice, a third-person ARPG, releases September 20th. Explore a dark world brimming with hidden mysteries, master a diverse combat system and inhabit the dual forces of 2 sisters in a coming-of-age dark fantasy story with fast-paced action, vicious enemies and spectacular boss fights. Despite the name, this isn't a Souls-like game, but more of a hack-and-slash style of combat like Bayonetta, for example. Salt 2, Shores of Gold, gets on land also September 20th. Salt 2 is an open-world pirate game focused on exploration, survival and crafting. Set sail across an infinite procedural world with just you and your ship, which sets it apart from something like Sea of Thieves. This is a purely solo-player experience. Explore islands filled with quests, caves, towns, pirates and secrets. Level up skills, craft, hunt, fish, loot and decorate your ship. I'm very much looking forward to this game. The previous games of the devs were great and I'm sure this is no exception. It's early access, by the way. Rift Loopers is planned for an early access launch September 22nd. Survive the horrors of the multiverse alone or with your comrades as you battle against an onslaught of insectoid-like creatures. Combine abilities in different ways, each loop to overcome and return safely to your universe. Desert Revenant is a strategic roguelike deck-building RPG packing a huge variety of cards to do battle with. It launches in early access on September 22nd. The game features multiple playable characters with a multitude of unique cards and tons of upgrades, a unique focus on minions and summonable allies, multiple stories to explore with your decisions affecting the world, very weird visuals, in my opinion, 3 maps with dozens of handcrafted encounters and multiple difficulty levels. This whole game takes place in a vibrant Arabian world filled to the brim with story arcs and subplots and of course card upgrades. Session Skate Sim, a skate sim, leaves early access after 3 years on September 22nd. Made by and for skaters, the dual stick controls faithfully reproduce your feet on a skateboard for an ultra-realistic experience. Try out real-life iconic skate spots, customize your skater and equipment with items from the top brands. Steam likes this with an 85% user rating so far. Up next, free games. Uncle Phil graced us with another heavy-duty lineup because You Suck at Parking is on Game Pass, like I mentioned, as well as Metal Hellsinger, which is really an ideal Game Pass game because you'll play it only once realistically and it's only a few hours long, otherwise it's $30. Assassin's Creed Odyssey made its way to Game Pass too, and I thought that game was just amazing, honestly. I played the whole thing from start to finish and had a great time. It can be a little grindy at times, but the main campaign storyline is superb. The locations truly breathtaking and the combat is still a lot of fun. There's now also a remastered version of Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. I played Ni no Kuni 2, actually had a lot of fun with that one. Maybe number 1 is decent too. It's pretty much free, at least. And then time for some personal updates. What have I been up to? Well, you guessed it, I guess, but I received my Steam Deck. I ordered in March, I think, and now half a year later it arrived. And first impressions so far, it's really fucking cool, this device. Out of the box, it just uses Steam, of course, as a sort of operating system, if you will. Your whole Steam library is there. Per game, it's clearly indicated if it's optimized for Steam Deck, playable, unknown, or simply a bad idea. And I found plenty of games to be an absolute blast, honestly, to play. Driving games, for example, tend to work really well, like Wreckfest. I've been playing a lot of twin-stick ARPGs, in particular the Sloremancer, trying out new builds and striving for light. Expect videos about those games fairly soon. But also a game like Skyrim is just flawless, honestly, working out of the box with controller support. And if you don't like the way the controls are set up, you can change it or download a community controller scheme. And they have ratings and all, and within no time you're just playing all those games on your Steam Deck. The Steam Deck does also come with a desktop mode. I think it is running Linux as the actual operating system, and that means you can tinker with it yourself. So I have found myself a decent resource to set up xCloud Gaming from Microsoft, as I'm already paying the Game Pass, so for €3 extra a month I can stream the whole Game Pass library on my Steam Deck. I tried Metal Hellsinger that way and you suck at parking, and there's hardly any latency. It works like a charm, provided you have decent Wi-Fi of course, which I do. I've been really impressed so far, and maybe I'll do a video on this one day as well. And that's it. If you have any questions or remarks, put them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did and you want more like this, consider liking the video or even subscribing. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.